You're listening to Charting the Future, a podcast for independent pediatricians by PCC. For more information about our software and services, please visit www.pcc.com or visit us on social media.
Welcome back, friends, to Charting the Future. This is Chip Hart. I'm down here in lovely Alabama. I'm sitting and looking at the Mobile Bay, which is quite beautiful. We are definitely not in Vermont at the moment. I'm here with Mike Jordan from Eastlake Pediatrics. We've known each other for a while. We did just clarify when we last met, but he's going to tell me again now that I got the recording working. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we first met at the PMI conference down in Tampa, and you had blue hair.
The color of your shirt.
Yes. Yes, very blue. It was my first instance with, I believe, going to a live event, because you guys were touring. Yep. And so it was nowhere near what it is now when you go. But yeah, it was a memorable experience for me for sure.
Yeah, that was just for those who are wondering. I had blue hair for a fundraiser.
Yeah.
It was like a Families of Cancer Patients fundraiser at the time. I was constantly being met by surprised looks from people, and I couldn't figure out why because I couldn't see my own blue hair.
Right.
It was an awkward time. The people who gave me the least grief during the time I had blue hair, seriously, it was like repeatedly, I had less of an issue with them than anyone else was TSA. TSA didn't care. Yeah.
I found the secret.
Yeah.
That was before pre-check.
It was before pre-check. It was before pre-check for me anyway. So do us a favor. Tell us about how you became a pediatrician. Tell me about your practice.
Yeah, sure. I guess I always kind of wanted to go to med school. Became apparent that I wanted to be a pediatrician as I got older, and I took different jobs and stuff. So I worked as a lifeguard and a water safety instructor, and I was good at it, like hanging out with the kids, and had a good time. So I went into med school trying to have an open mind, but it was just too much of a draw. Like that's where I was going to be. That's my personality. That's who I feel most comfortable with. I didn't like going onto the internal medicine wards in the hospitals and stuff. And certainly OB wasn't my thing. So I was ready to, it was an easy decision to make. And so after that, I graduated, went and did my residency. And then my wife and I started dating in med school, but we actually knew each other from high school. So we're from the same hometown. And I think the goal was that I was going to join my practice that I went to as a kid. And so, and I had done rotations with them. I'm buddies with all those guys there. And just turned out that one of the providers the year before I graduated wanted to go into neonatology.
Okay.
He did that for a year and then decided that's not as good as being a PCP, and he came back. So then I was kind of boxed out of that position.
Yep. So
I kind of had to scramble because I was kind of locked into my location with our families kind of being in that location. So I had a couple opportunities, but I thought, they were starting a hospitalist position, which I didn't really want to do that. But in hindsight, it was really a good thing for me. I felt like I got like a little fellowship of being independent and working. And then, after that, my heart really wasn't in it, and so I figured I'm not real good with having a boss. Right. So I was frustrated about what I was doing. And, the old thing where, hey, I interviewed with this guy and this was what you're going to get. And then I go and work with this guy. It was different.
No.
And so that didn't really work out well for me. So I got the 90-day call in. Yeah, we're not going to renew your contract. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, I guess I got to get a job. I got to do something. I had a young daughter. And so I had a mentor recommended this guy by the name of Roy Huntsman, and he was a consultant out of Gainesville, and he was old school. He was like 74 when I started working with him, and I had like 90 days to get something started.
Wow. Can't even get credentialed that fast.
Yeah. And so I said, okay, well, what are we going to do? So he asked me this question: are you going to do paper charts? Or are you going to do electronic records? I was like, I don't think there's any reason for me to start with paper. So we went and did picked an EHR, and he had the recommendation. I said, okay, because I didn't know anything about him. And I think my last day was July 30th, I think. And I had the practice opened on August 16th.
That's kind of a Katrina story right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just did it.
Yeah. It was like, well, you got to do something.
Right. I do think we did get the title for this episode, which is, I'm not really good with having a boss. That's a very common theme with the people I know.
No. And so, looking back on it, I probably would have said the same thing if that was my employee.
Right.
I mean, I was doing a fine job. I just wasn't for me. And subsequently, everyone's cool with it after that. But, it was the best thing for me because like when I woke up that morning on August 16th, the air smelled fresher, life was better, food tasted better. And I had no patients. I mean, none. I had 3 hospitals. So I'd get up. I started at 8:30 and we had to round at the one hospitals where we had newborns. I had another hospital that had newborns. And then I also did inpatient. Okay. So I'd get up at 5 in the morning and I'd round on 3. If I had, I'd go to the hospitals and then I'd come in the office and just set up my EHR for 8 hours. Yeah. It was like, go to work and have a briefcase like Kramer, just have crackers in it. That's right. Just head out and sit around. All right, this is it. I'm heading out. And then next day, maybe we get a patient. But the best thing I did is I found a spot right next to an OBGYN office and they were renting it for me or they would rent it to me. And that's really kind of how I built my practice.
Oh, that's a power move. Next to a children's museum, pediatric dentist, OB office.
And I said to Roy, my mentor, I said, hey, I don't know, this rent seems high. He's like, doesn't matter.
Yeah, he was right.
Yeah, you just pay it and it'll work.
And it won't seem high when you have patients.
Exactly. And it was like, this is just going to be like turning on a hose. The water's going to wind through it and you're waiting and you're getting thirsty, but eventually it's going to come out.
No, that's great.
Yeah. So that's what I did. I started at Eastlake Pediatrics and that was in 2004. And in 2007, we opened a location. I built an office in Trinity, which is about 15 minutes north.
Okay.
And then added providers. And before we built that location, actually, I hired a provider a year later, and we just split it because it was a small location. So we opened 7 to 7. And so I'd work from 7 to 1 one week, and then 1 to 7 the next week. And whoever ran 1 to 7 was on call.
Okay.
So that was kind of how we made it work. And then kept growing. We added Trinity, like I said. And by that time, we got to I added a nurse practitioner, and then we had another provider. And then subsequently, we added some more providers. And then in 2015, the office next to my Palm Harbor office came open. And we were like, Palm Harbor, my original place, was just really full. So we split out and built and rented that place too. And then we just started doing well visits in the little place and then sick visits in the other Palm Harbor building. And then we built out the rest of the Trinity office. And then it came COVID I guess it was like 1,000, right after COVID was kind of hitting. And my neighbors, they came to me and say, hey, listen, eventually we're going to need to take that space over. We're growing. And so they gave me like a year time to figure it out. And so I was like trying to figure out what to do. And then I was like, kind of like 6 months into getting this plan sorted out and then trying to start look how we're going to work it, if we're going to get a new space. And then they came in and said, actually, can we just do it next year? So that bought me All right. It bought me some time. And then I actually found another building that we bought and built out in Oldsmar, and that opened in 2022. And it's about 8 minutes east, so a little bit closer to Tampa. And that's been, and that's where we are. So now it's myself and 4 other physicians, and we have 4 nurse practitioners and a licensed clinical social worker.
Okay.
And that's kind of the origin story of the practice. We just stay busy. I'm doing much more administrative stuff now. So I see a couple patients a week, and I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sometimes,
fill in where you need to,
or plug holes and I try and rotate in each location just to see how things are going. And,
that's a good idea.
And set up. I have a really good team and really good staff, and our providers are great, and they work hard, and we see a lot of patients, and I think we do really good care, and we're the community is recognizing that, so it's really gratifying,
rewarding. Yeah, well, good for you. Now, one of the things that you and I worked on together, in effect, was you would come to one of my classes about physician compensation modeling. And I don't know when and how this happened, but I had this revelation one day as I was working with someone, and I talked about these competing spectrums that everyone exists on. That this balance of total, when an employed provider, there's a conflict between lifestyle and income.
Correct.
But there's also conflict or tension between consistency, guaranteed income, and variable income based on the success of the practice or the success of the clinician. Right. And I drew it out one day, and I kept using it, but I always had to draw it every time. I had to make it from scratch. And then I made a graphic for it that I never really liked, but I just, I kept on using it. And then you came along and you're like, hey, is it okay if I use your concept and I'm going to put it on the web for people to see. And so tell me what you did, and tell everyone else what you did, because I use your website all the time.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's funny. I didn't know if that was actually something that you were just being nice to me, or
No. You understood exactly what I was going for, and did the work that I never had the time to do.
Right. And I remember I was like, I don't know, is he going to be mad if so I really was kind of like sheepish. Hey, listen, I did this. I'll take it. I won't use it at all, And you're like, can we use this?
Yeah.
like I was like, of course. So yeah, so it was one of the lectures I'd gone to, and I just kind of put my notes in there, and it was with AI. I was monkeying around with AI, and I just threw it in there, and it just I really didn't do much. I said, hey, can you help me visualize this? And then it gave me something rudimentary, and then I just started kind of chipping away at it, and then I was like, well, let me see if I can do the stuff with the compensation types, and how do they match to
which quadrant are they in? It's like a little, I don't know what to call it. Myers-Briggs. Like, are you a guaranteed salary but lifestyle person?
Right.
That's one type of compensation model for you.
Yeah, exactly. So so I had that first step was just to get the visualization, which I use now for like providers or people that I'm interviewing to say, hey, where are you? And they're always, I want the most flexibility and the most income.
No, I always have to explain them. No, all right. Or if you do, this is what's going to happen.
Right.
But like, what's more important to you?
Yeah.
I will say I am motivated. AI has come along so far.
Yes.
All right. I am motivated to redo the visual, because I've always wanted two sliders that either intersect. And so I have an idea for how to do it, but we'll see if I have the time. I might not. So you can find the tool we're talking about on my blog. If you Google physician compensation tool on my blog, it goes right to your site.
Oh, cool.
And it's a free site. Like, no one's charging anything. No one's asking for anything. One of PCC's official values is share what we know. So we give it away. Yeah. Like, that's why I was like, no, I don't mind if you use it. I think it's great. If one more practice gets their compensation model right. Like, why would I get in the way of that?
Exactly.
That'd be silly. So I was grateful that you did it. He's like taking a bunch of my tools, and he keeps doing it. He's doing it faster than I can.
Yeah,
and he's like, I just know you're going to come through and redo them. And I'm like, but I don't have the time. And he does a good job. So I've been using them,
Great, man. Yeah. And I think so in the way when I kind of kept working with it, then you could just if you picked your compensation model, then you could go to the other tab.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And it lines up with how many days or how many patients you're going to see per day, how many days per year.
Yeah.
What's your revenue per encounter.
Yep.
And then you can just dial it. Okay, well, this is how much you have. I have this much, and it calculates what you can calculate your expenses, like you estimate your taxes, if you have a 401k, health insurance, and so that pulls off some of that money, right?
Yep.
And then as you slide it one way or the other, if like your productivity goes up this much, well, this is how your compensation can change.
The thing I've always had in my head is, if you ever read the book, what's it called? It's not Going Postal. It's his other one. It's about the monetary system. But Terry Pratchett.
Okay.
Science fiction comedy author, right? And what's the name of the book? He has a book where he talks about the monetary system in this magical kingdom, and the whole thing is run by a machine in the basement of the kingdom. It's this giant machine with a bunch of levers and dials,
right?
And if you turn this dial, this other dial turns, and the output changes. And that is all we're doing with these tools.
Yeah,
just showing here that you turn revenue per visit up,
right?
It does affect your overhead value, but if you turn your overhead up too, this is what happens to the output. Making money. That's the book.
Right. Okay. But the tool is very visual for someone to understand that. They come in and they say, well, I want to make this much money. Okay. Well, this is where we are. This is what I have to pull from. And you want to see this many patients. Well, you're going to, that's not feasible.
Yeah, that's right. One of these numbers has to move, and I will gladly pay you that 45 kids a day.
If you want to see 45 kids a day and work 3 days a week, we can make you a lot of money.
You can't do 10 kids and get 250.
Right.
It just doesn't work that way.
Right.
Because if you could, you'd be doing it.
Right. Exactly. I wouldn't be. Yeah, that's right. That's what the rates would be. So
yeah. So all right. Well, now.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have this, pretty straightforward, classic private pediatric practice.
Yeah.
But you have a big project that you've been working on, and this is, you and I keep bumping into this, and we even have some mutual clients now.
Yeah.
So tell everyone about ResponseRX.
So ResponseRX is a company that solves this frustration pediatricians have with getting Google reviews.
Yep.
You know, it's challenging, right?
Yep.
And how do we get them? And more importantly, how do you respond to them? Because as a healthcare facility, you're obligated to respond to reviews in a HIPAA-compliant manner, and you have a unilateral obligation. So you can't confirm that they're your patient at all, no matter what they say.
No matter what they say.
Like, just get a copy of their medical records and just read it into a Google review, and you have to pretend like you don't know what's there.
And people don't understand that.
No.
People respond by people. I mean, practices respond to patient reviews in Google. I see it all the time, and I'm like, oh, this is a breach.
This is not good.
Yeah.
You know, you can't say their name.
Yep.
You can't say things like, thank you for sharing this wonderful experience, or we're sorry you had such a poor experience.
Right.
You can't say, if anyone has any concerns, please email us at nonsecure.email.com.
Yep.
Because you're inviting them to breach HIPAA.
Right.
Right. So, and it's very complicated because when you so what happened was at one of these PMI, and they were telling us, hey, you need to have 250 Google reviews per location.
Right.
And I had like 199 in 3 locations, and I got my first review like 11 years before that.
Right.
And I'm like, how? I thought that was
normal.
Kooky talk.
You're like, oh, your behavior was normal, but you're like, how am I going to get these reviews?
Right. And so Carlton is my co-founder, and he was the person I use for marketing. And we were just kind of talking about how to do that. And we came up with a solution to make it easy for our patients to give us reviews. That started working. And then I was like, oh, crap. Now I got to respond to all these reviews, right? And then that's when we started kind of going back and forth of working together, getting replies, trying to feed it into AI. And then Carlton's very tech. He's been on AI for a number of years. And we built this patent pending engine that will generate these responses that are always HIPAA compliant. And they also kind of sound like the voice of your practice. So it'll scrape your web, it'll scrape your social media, kind of understand
it'll use your values, it'll use your mission, your culture.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what happens is that now that Google's in March, there's been 3 reports that their algorithm has changed, and they're weighing not so many. I mean, it's important that you get reviews and you have high ratings. I mean, that's still important, but it's more important now that they're seeing review velocity. So reviews coming in at a steady rate,
right,
and being consistent. And then also response velocity has to go out at a steady rate. So they're measuring engagement and they're measuring the uniqueness of your voice. Thank you for this. Thank you for posting. Thank you. I mean, that templated responses aren't going to get you the same bang for your buck as it is if you're giving a real response. So we started working on it, and we started using it in May of 2024. And by the end of the year, so at the end of December, or December 31st, 2024, my new patient registration had increased by 27% from the prior year. Like 2022 and 3 were kind of flat. And then with a full year of that, at the end of 2025, we were up another 18%. And all these new patients have also shifted our demographic. So like we were having kind of most of the time, our new patient biggest bucket was like the 5 to 16 range.
Yeah, right.
Now all of a sudden, that's dipped a little. Toddlers have dipped. The adolescents have really dipped. And then our newborns 0 to 1 are now up 11%.
And that's the biggest growth space. And they found you because the Google reviews.
Right, exactly. And what happened was when we first started in 23, 0.4% of our patients reported that Google was where they heard about us. Okay. And at the end of 2025, it was 48%.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so we had no existence online, essentially, as far as Google was concerned. And now that's half of our patients are coming from there.
Yeah, every practice I know, and there aren't a lot, but every practice I know who's invested in and is facile with social media says you can't go back.
No.
You can't go back.
You're not getting, I mean, there's no yellow pages anymore.
Right.
I mean, you get word of mouth and you have OB referrals and things like that, but those are very valuable, but you don't control those necessarily. Right. I mean, you do what you can to indirectly control them. I mean, if you're nice to the OBs, you're obviously give good care, you'll get good word of mouth. But with the reviews and the responses, you can push those levers and kind of control that window and open that channel.
Well, you're telling people who you are, which to me is a really vital part of the whole culture process anyway.
And the other thing is that, generally when you're getting a review, like before, I'd have a stomach ache because I know it was something bad. But the people who are writing your reviews are really irritated and then nothing's going to stop them.
Yep.
And the people that love you are
just keep moving.
they're like, yeah, we'll go ahead and write a review. And then they go and buckle the kids in the car seats. They go to soccer and they forget about it. So we're making it easy for the people who want to sing your praises to sing them. And you end up getting so many of these positive reviews that every once in a while you get somebody that's disgruntled. It's a non-issue.
Right. Well, and depending on how they're disgruntled, sometimes a medium or even negative review can be helpful for the practice, as you know.
It's positive feedback, but it's not going to really ruin. Like when I opened the Oldsmar location in 22, we had 15 reviews when we started with ResponseRX, and we had literally one person who had been kicked out of all the other practices,
right?
And then I don't remember the issue of what happened, but anyways, he was unhappy with us too. So he wrote a 1-star review. So I had 15, 4 and 5 star, or 13 or 14, 4 and 5 stars, and one star. And so all of a sudden I'm a 3.7.
Right.
And nobody wants to go to a 3.7 doctor.
No. There are a lot of them though, because their reviews are just so tepid, mediocre. I mean, I have clients there, I know practices who are good doctors and have like a 2.1 because they have 4 reviews and 1, a couple 3s and a 5, and you're at 2.1. And
you're up against these big PE backed groups. You're up against hospital system
who all have machines of people
and at 6-figure or more marketing budgets. And we're not using Google ads or anything. This is what we're doing, and you're just able to flex that muscle of those reviews and figure it out. And it's really dramatically changed the shape of our practice and the trajectory of our growth. It's really
all those newborns, that's how you grow practice.
Exactly. And it's not just them though. It's their siblings.
Yeah, of course.
And it's the friend groups that they affect. The second order of what they do for you when you bring in and you treat them well, that's where you can really, it's just exponential.
So where can they find you?
So they can find ResponseRX at responserx.ai. So it's like response with an R and an X, like a prescription. .ai. So my email address is mike.jordan, Jordan, at ResponseRx. Yeah. Oh, can I ask you a question? Who is Challenger C? Is that like somebody that
Challenger C?
They're the one who does the music for your podcast?
My God. That is one of our employees, Justin. That's his hardcore band.
Nice.
Justin's we have a bunch of really fine musicians at PCC, like people who still do concerts and shows and Justin's one of them. And we were looking for some theme music, and Justin said, here you go. Here's our new EP. And we had to go through and find, when it's a hardcore EP, you got to look a little bit. But it turns out that the more I use it, the more I realize it's perfect for the show.
It's perfect.
I see. Yeah, no, that's Justin and his buddies, and that's hardcore.
That's awesome.
Vermont hardcore.
I wrote the music for our whole music for our thing. And I did a podcast several years ago. I did 4 or 5 episodes, 6 episodes maybe. And I was just like, okay, I'll just put my music in there because that'll give me something to do.
Right.
But I love playing music. So that just,
that's Justin. We have enough people to,
you should have a band.
Oh, we have all the right instruments too.
That's awesome.
So actually, there are multiple bands at PCC. We've got one guy who's, we have some major performers at PCC also, a bunch of singers, bunch of guitarists, a lot of people who do rock, but a lot classical jazz people. I think it's a little bit the nature of our business, nerdy introverts. And so you get a lot of musically inclined people. I'll say this. Okay. One year we have very exuberant clients, and we have one practice in Michigan who every year produces a really awesome music video for us at our users conference.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Knock your socks off. And for COVID, PCC produced one.
Okay.
And it was Aaron rewrote the lyrics to Don't Stop Believin'.
Oh yeah.
And we had 8, I don't know how many people, multiple people sing it.
Right.
Multiple people did the music.
Wow.
I played the ukulele solo.
I don't remember that.
No, it's not. But I mean, if you remember the solo, it's like you can play it on anything.
Right.
The funny thing is, it's not a hard solo to play, right? And I was like, oh, okay, I'll do this. And then I was like, oh, I'll do it on the ukulele because we have some guys who can really play, and they rocked out. I went to do it on the ukulele, and honestly, it took me 25 takes.
I'm sure.
And it's like 10 notes.
Right.
And I was like, it was like my stage reaction. I've never had a stage reaction like this. And it took me so many tries. And even then, it's not that great.
Right.
My version of it.
No, I'm sure it's great.
But yes,
that's awesome. So that's Neil Schoen, right?
Yeah.
My guitar teacher, when I was a kid, he told me, he's like, man, I thought he was just maybe a slightly above average guitar player.
All those pro guys from the 70s and 80s, all those guys were just.
Yeah, and he said he got a chance to play with him.
Yeah.
And he's like, and my guitar teacher was like, God, I couldn't ever achieve something like where he plays. That guy, he just blew me away. He just blew, it's like, there's so much what you can put in a record versus what your talent is.
He's right. Neil Schoen was creating music to sell albums.
Right.
Right. And all of those guys are, their competency with the instrument makes you realize, I'm glad I have a day job.
When you go to record something and you're like,
it was.
How does they do that?
Yeah, how do they do that? But that's Justin. Justin's really good, but we have a couple of those guys. So
that's cool, man.
All right, he'll enjoy that.
I'm sure.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'll send a note when I put it out.
Okay, perfect. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening. More information can be found in our show notes. Production and editing by Chip Hart, Ali Squires, and Chris Forleo. Music by Challenger C. I'm Mark Herney.